GTA 5 has always been a game that's well known for its abundant amount of mysteries, Easter eggs, and unexplained theories. And while some of these findings get proven to be nothing more than fun details left by developers or have less mystery behind them than players may have liked, that can't be said for all of them. For nearly 13 years, there have been a few of these obscure findings that have remained unsolved. These aren't just Easter eggs or overblown mysteries either, but rather strange oddities that seem like they should have a backstory and meaning, but to this day, nothing has been found to explain them. So we will relook at 4 unexplained and obscure oddities left in this game to see what we can uncover, and what the leading theories pertaining to them are. Starting with one that actually just got removed after 12 years for some unknown reason. Back in 2017, a random player decided to fly up to the Skybox on the southeast side of the map just west of the Humane Labs and found something very out of place. He discovered high above the clouds a white box that simply read the phrase, "This does not exist." Almost immediately, people started theories for why this could be here, and most people simply dismissed it as an Easter egg left by developers. This theory wasn't too far-fetched at the time, because Rockstar has actually done very similar Easter eggs back in older GTA games. For example, if you glitch outside of a certain part of the map in GTA 3, you can find a message left behind by a developer that reads, "You weren't supposed to be able to get here, you know." And the same spot in GTA Liberty City Stories follows it up by saying, "Hello again." There are countless instances of these Easter eggs in GTA Vice City, as well as one on top of the bridge in GTA San Andreas. So given this knowledge, people assumed that this box in GTA 5 was akin to those messages. While this would be a pretty good explanation and one that many people still follow today, it turned out to be not that simple. You see, in 2020, a user on Reddit decided to take a further look into this box and managed to find the files linked to it, and in his search, he managed to find 4 other boxes in inaccessible areas that featured the same texture. Not only that, but the file that are linked to these 4 boxes can actually be found in the game files up to 7 times. And as if it couldn't get any weirder, all of the file names feature the word blimp. So despite getting closer to figuring out why this box is even here, unfortunately the investigation would not lead to any actual answers. And it's become increasingly harder to get answers now that the box has since been removed from the game with the release of the enhanced version. The best theory that the user could come up with at the time is that the boxes are physical placeholders for the systems that control the weather patterns of the game. But as I said, this is nothing more than a theory. And what this box is truly doing here, and why it was added in the first place, is ultimately something we may never fully know. Now, let's switch over to one that has had arguably the most investigation time poured into it, and that is the black cell phones. The discovery of the black cell phones was found over 10 years ago at this point, and is fairly well known by most people, but since some newer players may not have experienced this before, I will explain it very briefly. Within the single player, if you were to go into the contacts of your phone and dial the number 199-367-3767, a weird phenomenon will occur. You will start to dial the contact simply known as black cell phones, and then the call will drop and a random explosion will trigger above your head. If you pull out your phone once more, you will notice the phone UI has gotten much bigger and the phone background and color are now completely blacked out. On the surface, it seems pretty self-explanatory, a phone cheat code that turns the color of your phone black and makes it bigger. But people quickly realized that if all it was a cheat code, then how come it doesn't pop up with the message cheat code activated? Players were convinced that there had to be more to this phone number than just the black design. And this sparked more investigation into this mystery than maybe any other anomaly on this list. For example, if you look at the letters corresponding to the numbers 3673767, it was discovered that they can spell out the phrase EMP drop. This led most people to the conclusion that it might have something to do with EMPing something in order to turn it off to unlock the next phase of the puzzle. Players also weren't really wrong for assuming this, given that an actual explosion goes off above your head. People tested this theory by activating it at power plants, the observatory, the humane labs, the T1 and T2 doors under Mount Chiliad, the mural on top, and even Fort Zancudo. They activated it in dozens of places they thought might give them a reaction, but this ultimately led to nothing. That's when another theory arose. Instead of the numbers reading EMP drop, players thought that the letters were actually meant to spell out the word Emperor. The hex code for the color Emperor is a darkish gray color. However, it doesn't perfectly match one of the new colors on either of the characters' phones. But despite that, players figured that since it's called black cell phones as in plural, maybe the other colors were accessible as well. The community would go on to try literally hundreds of different 7-letter color names in hopes of finding a new color, but this theory would ultimately fall short as well. Despite the literal years worth of testing that players did to try and determine the purpose of this rather obscure mystery, it does seem like there is one likely explanation for this phone number. Back when Rockstar was adding phone cheats to the next-gen version of GTA5 with the PS4 and Xbox One, they needed an easy indicator to tell when phone cheats were turned on and off, like the difference between online and single player. Obviously, phone cheats and cheat codes in general don't work in online, and neither do the black cell phones. And to make this more credible, the black cell phones doesn't work on the old gen versions of GTA 5 either. However, this explanation still doesn't explain why the black cell phones don't display a message of a cheat code when it is activated, or why an explosion forms over our head when we do. Moving on to one of my favorite unexplained oddities found within this game, and that is the face on the mountain. On the same day that GTA Online originally released back on October 1st of 2013, players found a very strange Easter egg on Mount Chiliad. Located on the north side of the mountain, you can find a seemingly unknown person's face etched into the rock face. Around this time, the community already had its hand full with Mount Chiliad and trying to decipher the mural at release. And now they also had this random face to go along with it. Now, I don't think this face has any big conspiracy around it, and nor do I think it ever had anything to do with the Mount Chiliad mystery. So the unexplained nature of this face doesn't come from why it's here, but rather who it is. When taking a look at the face up close, a lot of players thought that it resembled the likes of Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad for a long time. This would make sense given that the show had started to pick up a lot of popularity around the time of the game's release, and could definitely see a possibility of a developer who was a fan of the show leaving an Easter egg as a fun nod to it. On the other hand, however, a lot of people didn't think it resembled Jesse at all, and they instead believed that it was likely a developer themselves. And actually, despite this video being about unexplained mysteries, after researching this topic again, it seems likely that the man behind this face has been found. When digging through the files, players managed to find the texture for the face, and the name of the file read DD_signature. They looked into the DD part with the assumption that it could be the initials of a Rockstar developer, and lo and behold, that is when players came across David Dixon. David has worked at Rockstar since 2009, and his credited works include GTA Chinatown Wars, GTA 5, and RDR2. And if you compare his face with the one present on the mountain, it definitely shares a resemblance. But better yet, when the next-gen version was released months later, and the face was instead transformed into this, it makes sense as to why. David Dixon was turned into David Dickin. Get it? Dick, chicken, yeah, Dickin, yeah, okay. Again, this hasn't been confirmed by David or anything, but this is by far the best theory we have found for this yet. Our last unexplained anomaly that I think has the most intrigue and most mystery surrounding it is what is simply referred to as the guarded shed. On the side of the road leading up to the Humane Labs, there is a completely mundane looking shed, but it has something strange happening outside of it. At all hours of the day, 4 guards are constantly parked and guarding whatever happens to be within that building. What is even more strange is that they become hostile towards you the moment you happen to get too close to them, and if this happens, you immediately get a 1-star wanted level. There are only a select few locations on the map where something similar occurs. Entering the airport will get you 3 stars, the Humane Labs will get you 4, and the military base will get you 4 as well. However, for some reason, this shed will get you 1 as well. There have been many theories pertaining to the guards at these locations, and more importantly, what they are guarding inside. Many people have theorized that this is simply meant to be a roadblock to deter people away from the Humane Labs. This theory falls apart quickly, however, for a couple reasons. For one, if this were the case, then it's fair to say that the 1-star wanted level would be given as soon as you cross them as a warning, then the 4-star would be given once you passed into the lab's property. And another reason is that once you get the 4-star wanted level from entering the Humane Labs, the guards at that shed are nowhere to be seen in pursuit, meaning they were never after you in the first place. This to me leaves one real explanation, that whatever it is that they are truly meant to be guarding is within that building, and we have no idea what it may be. Most people say that these guards and whatever is found within that shed was meant to be used for some content that was to come in a future DLC that we ultimately never received. While this theory was already one that a lot of people believed for years, it only got more credibility in 2022 when the GTA5 source code was leaked online during the GTA6 development leak by Arian Kurtage. Within that source code, we were able to find the remaining remnants of the lost single-player DLC that was planned but never released. One of the planned DLCs that we found out about in this code was simply titled Agent Trevor. And given that these are agents guarding the shed, as well as it being placed outside of the city closer to Trevor's home on the map, it seemed likely that whatever the guards are doing here was related to the Unseen DLC. Now, whether this is the truth or not, we may never know. But it is undeniable that Rockstar had some sort of plan with their single-player DLCs early on. But since these were ultimately cancelled, it still remains fun to speculate on what could have been if GTA Online wasn't as successful as it was. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.